Hey bloggers, today's topic comes to us from a member of my Badass Bloggers Facebook group. She asked, how do I write long form content without repeating myself? That is a great question and it's something that a lot of bloggers struggle with, so I can't wait to dive in. Let's go. Okay, so Ruth does use an outline and her niche is mental health. Okay, thank you. Okay, before I go into this, I want to say something. I don't tell you guys to write long form content just for the sake of writing long form content. That is not why I tell you to do it. I tell you to do it for a reason. You guys, if short form content consistently and statistically ranked above long form content, I would be telling you to write short form content. I do not give a flying F about some arbitrary word count number. What I care intensely about is your success as a blogger. And to be successful as a blogger, you got to rank in Google, right? That is a huge, huge portion of it. That is why I push long form content so hard. But we have to look at it on a case by case basis. So long form content for one keyword and one niche could be drastically different for another keyword and another niche. So there are some niches that trend towards shorter form content. And there are some niches like mine, which technically I'm in like the online marketing niche, which we trend towards really, really long form content, right? So like a short form post in my niche, it's like 2,500 words. But that could very well be a long form post in another niche for another keyword. So it's really, really important to not just throw these blanket statements out there. You have to look at each keyword individually. So that being said, I'll get off my soapbox. So when you're repeating yourself, I would say that it's not a writing error. It's like a blog post organizational error. So if you end up repeating yourself, I would ask yourself if maybe that information should be included in another part of the blog post where you originally said the thing, right? But sometimes you do end up saying the same thing over and over, and it could be more of an overarching theme than repeating yourself. So maybe you could say the same thing a couple different ways, or maybe you could make it an overarching theme. Like, again, blah, blah, blah. I know I sound like a broken record, but that's just how important it is, right? So if it's intentional, then you could make it part of an overarching theme. If it's unintentional and it kind of is making you feel like your blog post is all over the place, then that's an organizational problem. Like that's a problem with the structure of your outline, your blog post outline. I'm going to interrupt myself real quick here to let you know that if you are not using an outline, you should be. I have a free one that you can download. The link is in the description below.
Now back to our regular scheduled programming.
So let's say you have an H2 heading and another H2 heading, and in the body underneath each heading, you kind of ended up repeating yourself. That actually might just need to be one H2 heading with maybe some H3 headings underneath it. Does that make sense? I get that can happen in long form content because you're just writing so much, but you can always edit that out. Oh, good. That makes sense. Yeah. So if you are writing your rough draft and you end up repeating yourself, don't stop yourself. Don't break your creative flow. Just keep going. And you can always edit it out later or move things around, right? So let's say heading 2 and H2 heading number 1 and H2 heading number 2 ended up being pretty much the same thing said over and over. When you are done with your blog post and in your editing phase, so when you're done with your rough draft and you switch into editing mode, that is the time to reevaluate. But what happens is if you make your outline and then you go into blog writing mode, you're in rough draft mode, and then you stop yourself and you're like, oh, this is so disorganized. This sucks. I keep repeating myself. I'm awful. This idea is stupid. Nobody's ever going to want to read it. That's what ends up happening. And then you quit and you walk away, right? Because it just feels crappy. So don't do that. Just write through it and then edit later. edit the next day if you can, but I get it. We all want to like pump out those blog posts. I get that. But try to put like a little buffer in between rough draft writing and your editing time, and then go back and reorganize. And then that'll be like a learning experience for the next time you make a outline. So when I'm making an outline, I do like very, very brief bullets. But if my bullets kind of end up being too similar, I'll realize that I need to combine them together, right? So I'll do like my main heading, bullet, bullet, bullet. And you'll be able to identify that easier the next time you do your heading. It's not always going to be this clunky life. Good, I'm glad it makes sense.
If you loved this, you will love my Badass Bloggers Facebook group. That is where I record these videos and give bloggers just like you a chance to ask their super specific blogging questions and receive super specific answers. The link is in the description below. I can't wait to see you in there.